So is Miss Pamela Weasel here tonight? Ms. Weasel? Okay. She had requested to address the board in closed session, but since she's not here.
Should we just skip this agenda item?
Yes, sir, we'll skip this item because she was the reason that the board would be going into closed session to hear some concerns she had.
So we'll skip items 2 and 3. The next item on the agenda is Jerry Oliver to address the board. I don't see
Here
Mr.
either.
Oliver here either.
It's kind of hard to do that if you're not here.
So we'll skip this item. So next item on the agenda is Mr. Wynn about start times.
Is Mr. Wentz and Mr. McGee, Mr. McGee being from Cleveland High School, Mr. Wentz from Southside Primary, have a presentation for the board consideration regarding the school beginning and end times for this upcoming school year, for the 13-14 school year. If you look in your packet, please, that in the very front of your packet, starting on page, well, it's in the blue, it's called Why You Were Out, is a copy of their presentation. Mr. Wentz.
Thank you. Good evening. There were a couple, one big change that came up today in Mr. McGee's numbers. We realized a mistake, so I'll point that out in a minute when we get there. And continuing to try to strive to do what's best for our kids and continue to improve our campuses in the district. Principals have been talking in regards to start and end times for the campuses and the instruction time that we're losing due to various activities. The enrollment when this was put together, you can go to the next one there. You can see there, south side at 1,047, north side, hello, 597, 564, 527, 790. And this is what it's all about. Next one, Mr. McGee, if you will, please, is what we just kind of dubbed the lost. The instructional time is being lost due to athletics at the secondary level, and then also tardies at the younger levels, getting the young kids there in the mornings. As you can see there, high school, 773 hours of 8th period that have been lost. Middle school, 654. East side, 51. North side, 83 plus, and south side, 80 plus. So with our current time schedules, we've lost over 1,600 hours of instructional time that have been lost due to kids having to leave for athletics, band, tardies in the mornings for the younger kids, getting them there. You can see there that it's before spring sports started, these numbers were tallied. And then at the bottom, it's the tardy times. We've got 55 students at Southside alone with 10 plus tardies, 96 with 6 plus, and we have 10 that have over 25 tardies, and they're averaging 30 minutes a tardy for being there, being late, coming in. So that's instructional time that we're losing that obviously we're not getting back. What we're proposing, there you can see the current time. Secondary is 8:25 to 3:55. South side 7:30, 2:45. North side 7:35, 2:40. But then our proposed time change would be secondary would go 7:20 to 2:50, and elementary would go 8:25 to 3:40. And again, this is that was student times that are on there. We checked around. Districts already doing that are listed there, everywhere from New Caney to Huffman, Humboldt, Conroe, Montgomery, Dayton, Splendora, and their start times on there as well. The secondary ranges from you can see 7:10 to 7:25, and then elementary ranges from 8 to 8:45 actually start time. Conroe being 8:45 being the latest one, somewhat in our area that does this kind of time frame. Just to give you an idea who's doing it. What do we benefit? Obviously, we gain back the instructional time we're losing. Even if we recoup half of that time, we're getting a lot of time back that we need. We saw already, we've all seen what the first round of STAR looks like from last year. And we've got work to do, and we know that, and we've all got plans in place, and we're working on that. But it would sure help to have that instructional time back that we're losing in order to, help fix that problem. Obviously, safety concerns. Wouldn't have the younger kids out waiting on the buses early in the morning in the dark. The other thing that comes up, a lot of people don't realize and that we've discussed is CMS and CHS with their athletic events in the afternoon, starting early, we've got the public in the schools with the kids, and they're not coming through the office. That's not necessarily school's fault. A lot of doors in these buildings, and they're coming in. So we necessarily, safety-wise, may not know who's coming in, who's going out, and where they're at. So we're basically letting the public just wander around these campuses while we still have students in the building before they dismiss. It would take that away because secondary would obviously be out before that would occur. High school students could also leave for work. They wouldn't miss as much leaving for work and miss an instructional time. And it would also put the older siblings home to get the younger kids off the bus. One of the biggest things we have, and it only really affects Southside, is when the kids and parents aren't there to get the kiddos off the bus, then they come back to Southside. But I'm kind of working with transportation on that possibly next year through TransFinder to maybe have them go back there as other districts do, but that's a separate Southside issue. But so what we're asking you to consider tonight is flipping basically the start and end times of the schools so we can recoup this instructional time that's being lost by the way we're starting and ending right now with secondary and elementary. So any questions, we'll be glad to answer.
On what basis is the recommendation being made that we would actually get the time back?
With the way they leave, and Mr. McGee and Mr. Barnes can address it more, obviously in a secondary, with the athletics, they wouldn't have to leave for the athletic events like they do now, cutting into their instructional day, because school would be over. I'll let you finish it.
There were a little correction. It said the spring sports were not included in those times. Those times, the amount of missed time, I actually got that report today. So that's up through tournament, part of baseball and softball, and whatever's going on so far. But if we're getting out of school an hour earlier, that's an hour less they're losing. So there were 753 hours of 7th period missed and 773 hours of 8th period missed. So it would just kind of take that last hour off, if that makes sense, and slide it up. So they wouldn't be missing that extra hour of the day.
Would it change any of the after-school activities, maybe, that they might be able to do these activities earlier with the other districts as well? Are they?
No, everybody starts the UL stuff about the same time.
About the same time,
4:30
so.
for basketball and baseball.
And it won't, you don't see it maybe being an issue with them starting earlier?
No.
No? And getting home? Sometimes I know they get home late.
Get home late, yes. But everybody starts them at the same time, so varsity starts about 7:30, so parents can get to see it and all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the basis, to give you guys a little of the history, the reason that we went to these start times as a board a few years ago was we saw a study that basically said it's better for older kids, teenagers' brains wake up later in the day, and the studies showed that it was better to have secondary start times later and elementary start times earlier. So that was the rationale behind it, just so that the rest of the board understands why we went this direction. That doesn't mean we can't change it. This might be a better way to do it. That's just how we got here.
Well, I thought also it had something to do with transportation. Is this not going to be is this going to affect our transportation
No,
negative
the
at all?
buses will still run the same way, just in the opposite.
Okay.
We went to this split time in the fall of 2009, if I'm not mistaken. Up until that time, we had all had as far as the school buses were concerned, we were running all the buses at one time across the district.
Right.
And that wasn't a very effective way to do it. And so we combined splitting it's called a two-tier transportation system in the fall of 2009 when we implemented this time system.
Okay.
And right now, the high school goes second, and the middle school, actually in the afternoons, the elementaries are picked up and dropped off at home first, and the secondary are second. And we're thinking, and talking to bus drivers, the secondary runs will run faster than the elementary runs. Right now, our average last bus comes about 4:45. So we're thinking, from talking to some of the bus drivers and everything, that it's quicker to take the high school kids home because they pretty much just get them out there and drop them off real quick, and the elementary takes a little longer. So the buses will actually run better with the high school going from home first in the afternoons.
Being a little quicker. And we looked at the study too. I remember when that came up, and Because when we thought about all this, we wanted to see, well, is it worth looking at? Is this, and we ran into the same thing with the older kids and waking up later, and then we found that younger kids need their 10 to 12 hours too, so it kind of washed out, so to speak. But our biggest concern is just having some of that, as much as possible, that instructional time back to keep working with the kids and being able to get down what we need to in order to reach where we need to be as a district. So that's why.
Mr. McGee, are you willing to be here at 6:30 in the morning?
I'm a morning person, I'm good. My son may not agree when I'm waking up at 5:30 and taking him to childcare. but,
Yeah.
you know,
It's an early day.
This is add in those hours we're talking about. Today we had a boys and girls track meet. And so, end of the day, we lost 7th grade boys, 7th grade girls to track. We have the Cold Springs meet coming up. For us, it's a spring. We're trying to get ready for tax. It's really a bad time for us to be losing a bunch of hours, kids being out.
So how will that change?
Well, because you'll be out of school at 2:30. And so if you're out of school at 2:30, you won't miss any instructional time.
They won't start these things until,
Yeah, they'll still start at normal time. So it starts at, for instance, for our girls that were traveling out of town with the boys, and then the girls are here to start to set up, the coaches are telling me. And then even counting in the hours we lose, we're having to get subs in to cover those coaches when they leave out for these afternoon events. So even if the kids are in class or left, then you got a sub trying to, finish up the day. That's a lost hour.
well, that was my point exactly earlier when I mentioned that. I thought maybe it's something that UIL might consider if districts are going to this. Perhaps they can start scheduling things at different times. I mean, not that that's going to happen, but it would make sense.
Get the kids home.
Yeah, get them
Earlier
home at a
than
decent
this.
time since everyone seems to be going to this.
And this, we only found a couple of districts that are on the same time schedule as us, but like the slideshow, almost everybody around us
Yeah.
has this approximately the same start and end times that we're looking at.
And some of those that don't are small enough, they just do the one bus run. Yeah, that's it. They don't have to do 2 different runs like we do. Because doing the one bus run is not.
So what will be the time that the elementary kids can be dropped off?
Looking at that today, I've seen everything from 30 minutes early to an hour early. There's some schools in New Caney that let them in. They start at 8:30. They open their doors at 7:30. At Southside, I was looking at opening at 7:45.
Because you're going to have parents. That's going to affect
Right.
parents that are working.
Right. We can do 7:30. We can stagger some pairs if we need to come in and let them in. There is some flexibility there as far as that. Would it be 7 o'clock like now? No, because then we short
Yeah,
ourselves on the other end of the
right.
day. But we can work something out to where we can open it as early as possible.
Okay.
Like I said, if we did 7:30, that'd be 55 minutes before. I mean, too much more before that, then we get a lot of kids with a lot of free time, and that's not
Yeah.
a good thing either. So.
It's going to defeat the purpose.
Mr. Wentz talked about the older students being home to watch the younger students when they got home. As I was standing up there waiting for buses, I was talking to a couple of the kids, the young ladies standing there, we were waiting. And I was telling them about, us proposing this change in time. And she goes, oh, that'd be great. That way my aunt wouldn't have to watch my younger siblings, and I could get home and watch them. And I was just kind of like, hey, the kids see it just like we do.
Has there ever been any kind of survey maybe with the kids to see what the opinion would be there? No?
No, we haven't.
Not really.
Don't ask a teenager if they want to be up early. I'll do it.
Yeah, I imagine the
Don't
results
do
of
it.
that early morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll speak for one right now.
I got 2. Yeah.
And as you've seen all the no excuses presentations, and as we move towards getting these guys college ready and getting them toward the workforce, more than likely they're going to be up and get going. So, we all love to sleep in, and we just, some of us had a week of that, but we need to be preparing those secondary kids to get ready for quote unquote real world. And it's not all about sleeping in anymore. It's about
Right.
getting up and getting going. And so that's what we looked at too. Other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so what's your pleasure?
No, you're going to have to make a motion. Are we going to need to make a motion to see that this gets on a future agenda?
No, actually, the board can take action tonight on this topic.
Oh,
Yes.
what do you think?
I think
mean,
that's
y'all
what
wanna-
the principals
Can we
want.
talk? I mean,
Yeah.
well, that's
That's,
We could
I mean,
discuss
we don't
it.
have to take action tonight. We can discuss it, research it more, whatever y'all want to do.
What do you want to do?
Principals that are running the campus.
Well, I'm just saying, I mean,
This
I
won't
mean,
start
I'm just
until next
asking.
school
just
year.
saying, do you want to be in a situation where we can go and discuss it?
Yes, we'll discuss it. Y'all wanna
I'm just
discuss
saying.
it?
This isn't going to happen until next school year anyway.
Right.
Okay.
So, what would be our deadline for making this decision before,
We would, the May board meeting would be the latest, because we have to start preparing all of our student handbooks and all the handouts. So that would be the last that we could, May the 18th, I think, is the board meeting.
so, I mean, whatever y'all want to do. If you want to think about it, or you want to take action tonight, let's,
Whatever you guys want to do.
I think
I don't
we
know
should-
what you
I
think
think we should,
discuss it?
I think we should,
Yeah.
I'd like to wait and
Oh,
make the decision. in
later?
May.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay.
Only because I'd like to talk to more people and maybe get some other opinions on it.
Oh, okay.
It's not going to change anything, whether we do it or not.
Right. Except for administrators on these campuses wanting to know what they're looking at next year. I mean, I don't know. I guess that's just my opinion, is if the principals are saying this is what we need, I just feel like
Well, that's two of them.
you give it to them. That's three. It's Barnes and Wentz and McGee.
That's just my opinion.
That's
I
fine.
think.
We can wait.
so,
We'll wait.
your pleasure, somebody want to make a motion to table?
Yeah, that's fine. I'll make a motion that we table this, the school starting times, campus start times.
And I'll second it.
Okay, you want to say until the next meeting or the May meeting?
I think the
I
next
think
meeting
it
is
should-
plenty of
You'll take
discussion
it
time.
as
I mean, this is the
I was
first
gonna
I've
take
heard
This
of it.
is March.
besides
You got a motion and a second to take a vote.
This is March. This is
Okay.
March.
April, right?
Okay, we'll table it until April meeting.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor? Passes 4-1.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Is there any way we can make a decision by the April board meeting? Because what happens is, we can't lock in a master schedule time-wise.
We
until
are.
know how to plan.
We
And
just-
try to get those master schedules in.
I
early,
guarantee
So
you,
that we can plug our
Yeah.
students in and our teachers.
We did. We tabled it until April.
I guarantee you we'll decide by April.
Yeah,
Thank you.
for sure.
I'll have it on the April agenda. Okay.
We'll decide tonight.
Will the board want another presentation at the April meeting from the principals, or you're good with the
I'm
information?
good with what
Yeah.
they.
Okay, we'll put this same information back on here without the presentation from the principals. Okay.
Next item on the agenda is reports. Mr.
Okay,
Cowart?
thank you. Several pieces of information for the board. You had laying at your table a handout on the student enrollment, which I give to the board every month. It shows the enrollment for March the 1st of 2013 of this year, which was 3,593 students. And then it shows the enrollment going back through school year 2008 in March, which at that time we had 3,462 students. We have approximately 59 students less this year than the same date last year, and we have approximately 170 students less this year than we had in 2011. Of course, this is shown in your handout. The attendance rate for the district, this is starting from August 27th through March the 8th, the Friday before spring break. We had 95.11% attendance across the district. And last month we had 95.13% attendance, so we're staying pretty steady with our enrollment. You have now, looking in your board packet on page 13, there was an email from Coach Maple regarding the regional powerlifting meet that the district hosted, and following that is a a letter that he received from Van Thomas, the sports editor of the Livingston Polk County Enterprise, very complimentary on the work that the district did with the powerlifting meet. And Mr. Thomas has been in the business a long time, and he is not quick with pats on the back unless you've earned them. That was very nice for him to do this. The board requested some information on the DAP campus, which we call the Hardin Chambers Center, and this is shown. This is information that the board requested, and this is shown on page 15. Mr. Fowler provided information, and Mr. Fowler was here from the Johnson Control. He provided an email to the board with an update of the project that we're doing with Johnson Controls. Mr. Fowler, do you have anything you want to add? You sent this email to us on March the 6th. Any status or update to this?
The only, thank you, sir. The only change or update might be the, I know there was an April or May, and the project would be, depending on how we work with the district and the contract, we plan on like a May contract date. But it's coming along very nicely. We've been out here a bunch working with the different schools, Mr. Lee and his staff, and we've put some pretty good measures that actually a couple days we'll be talking to you about, sir, and starting that whole process, getting in the contract, making sure it makes sense financially, and then bringing that back to the board. Anything else I'm here to answer any questions you may have? It's smooth, it's a basic project, nothing crazy we're doing, just kind of the basic items you talked about, and it's working out like we hope. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fowler.
Some other information for the board's consideration. I have the Cleveland ISD tax collection report that's dated February 28, 2013. This is the current amount collected through February. We've collected $1,694,909.26. You can see the collection compared to 2011-12, which at that time, last year we had $1,284,329.90. Our current collected year-to-date is $7,481,667.29, which we're up a little more than we were this time last year. Our percent collected year-to-date is 76.84%. Last year at this time we collected 78.39%, and the total collected year-to-date we're at $8,125,584.35. And you can see we're a little behind from what we were total collected last year, but fairly close. We're in within $200,000 approximately of the amount we've collected, and that's the tax collection report I have for the district. If you follow into the next page, you can see the Cleveland High School activity account report for the month of February, and this starts on page 18. And this is the details. The summation sheet. It runs over to page 19. We had a total cost, or its total expenditure of $16,421.53. We had deposits totaling $15,568.33. And starting on the next page, of course, is the breakdown of what the codes mean. And then from page 21 through page 36 is the detail sheets regarding the expenditures from the high school activity account. Starting on page 37 is the summation page for the Cleveland Middle School activity account, showing the deposits and checks. We had deposits totaling $1,946.03. We had checks expenditure at $505.96. And we have the details showing on page 38 through page 47 on this amount. On page 48, we have our budget status through February of this year. We had an appropriated budget of $26,499,095. We have expenditures so far of $11,040,996.38. We have a balance remaining in this year's budget of $15,330,148.44. And that's our budget status that we have through February of this year. And then starting on page 49 and running through page 67 is the total check register that I have for the district. And on page 67, it does show for the month of February, we had an expenditure of $2,348,470.46. And this was in bills and payrolls. Some other items that I'd like to bring to the board's attention. There was a handout placed at your seat regarding the number of Douglas Learning Academy graduates. It's a summary that was prepared by Ms. Harris, the principal, and this starts with the school year 2008 and 9. You can see we had 22 graduates. 9 and 10 we had 43, 10, 11, 27, 11, 12, 23, and then 12 to the present. And this was turned into me on March 8th. We've had 10 graduates. This is a total of 125 graduates that have come through the Douglas Academy. The next page on this handout is a Hardin Chambers County DAP daily slot usage. In other words, how many students we had at DAP on this particular day. And this runs starting on August 27th, which was the first day of school, running through February the 21st. And this shows just a running count of the students who were present at DAP on these days. The number of the next page shows the number of students that we had in the ABU unit, which is the alternative behavior unit, which is a little different from the DAP. And we purchased a total of 5 slots. And you can see starting on August 27th, we had 2 students who were there. And we currently, or at least on February 21st, we had 4 students who were present. Just some information regarding the Southeast Texas Cooperative, which is our special ed cooperative. These are the numbers and percentages. The names of the school districts are in the special ed cooperative. The number of students from each district that are in the special ed are served through special ed, and it's also broken down by percent. And you can see that Splendora is the largest participant by number of students, with Cleveland being second. Splendora has almost 29% of the students in the co-op, which there's 1,125 students total. Cleveland has 241 students, or 21.4%. And then for budget purposes, for the co-op in preparing their budget, they're using the information on this last page. These are the numbers that they're expecting to be serving next year in the special ed cooperative. Cleveland having 281 students, or 24.56% of the co-op. And this is just for board information. I know we've discussed some of these questions that have come up in the past, and this is information that I've gathered since the last board meeting, just for your information and for your knowledge. Some other things I want to bring to the board's attention. The next time for board training that we have for the whole board to attend, there's a colored handout, and I want to bring this to your attention now to put this on your calendar. The one that we can go to is the one from June 13th through the 15th in Fort Worth. The reason it would be difficult to us to attend the San Antonio training on June 6th through the 8th is we have graduation on June the 7th. So that would make it difficult. Ms. Arnold has reserved hotel rooms for the Fort Worth conference. And if you're interested in going, please let her know, contact her, so she can sign you up. You don't do it yourself, she'll do it for you. She's already blocked the hotel rooms. This is just a summation of the conference and the dates and fees and so forth. And several of the presenters who will be here. And that's just for the board information. Some other things that are still on your agenda. We had and this is shown on the first page of your agenda regarding the election for the May 11th, 2013 board election. We have early voting, starts April 29th in this building. It's from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. It runs from April 29th through May the 7th. Here in this building, you can vote 8:30 to 4. Election day is Saturday, May the 11th, at the Cleveland Civic Center. We have these positions. Position 4, Roger Clifton is running, opposed by Lyric Reed. Position 5, John Nelson, opposed by Isabel McDowell. And position 7, which is serving the 1-year unexpired term, we have J.R. Ronnie Lewis being opposed by Tommy Daniel. And these are how the names appear on the ballots also, as they're shown here. But the early voting does start on April 29th with regular voting on May the 11th. There will not be a city election going on at this time because all of their candidates were unopposed, and we'll be the only entity voting at the Civic Center on May the 11th, or having early voting taking place. There's some information from the TASB leadership regarding training events and some other information that you may be interested in. And once again, if there's any TASB training that you wish to do, you can contact Stacy and she can sign you up for this and take care of the registrations for you. And I think this is all the reports I have for the board at this time.
Any questions? If not, then we'll move ahead to bills and payroll.
I've already went through the bill. Yes, I went through
the
building.
total on that.
Yeah.
Any questions? I guess we need a motion first for bills and payroll.
Yep, so moved.
Motion from Robert.
Second.
Christie? Any questions? If not, all those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Next item is the minutes from the regular February meeting.
Make a motion that the minutes be approved from the last meeting, provided there are no corrections that need to be made.
Motion from Robert. Second, please.
I second.
Second from Sky. Any questions or corrections? If not, all those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Next item is budget amendment number 3. Mr. Coward.
Thank you. If you look in your board packet, please, on page 71 and page 72 through 73, there's a budget amendment number 3 that was presented to the board in February. At the February regular meeting of the 18th, there were some questions regarding 2 particular items, and the explanation is shown on page 74. This is the budget amendment number 3, explanation of line items as requested by the board members. Ms. Karen Miller, who is in charge of our special programs, prepared the response. There was a question regarding school choice, and also the parent liaison costs that were shown here, and the explanation is provided here for the board. I also have Ms. Miller here in case the board has more in-depth questions or other questions about the amendment.
We have a motion concerning the amendment.
So moved.
Motion from Robert. Second, please.
Second.
Second from Christie. Any questions? If not, all those in favor?
Do we already
We'll
have a
still read.
position that does the dropouts in central office?
She's sitting, she, yeah, yeah.
Sonia is, okay.
I was thinking that, like, it would have been so much easier had this have been explained. You know, last time, like, when we were reading it, it would have prevented all of this from having to be made if it would have been easier to read and to understand.
Anytime there's that much
Yeah.
money involved.
It helps to know.
This parent liaison, is there any kind of training that goes into that as far as Ms. Urton?
The state does offer parent liaison or parent training, parent involvement training. But for the attendance, she's just been trained with the law since she's been working with the courts. For the dropout, just whatever we can give her.
And this is a new position for our district?
Not really, we've had dropout liaisons for the past 2 years.
Yeah.
They've been generally held by the police department. This is the first year that it's been held by a non-officer.
Okay, so the training is given here at our district by?
Yes. I mean,
And you meet with families at home, and is that what I'm understanding?
For the dropout, yes, I do home visits to prevent them from dropping out.
And how has that been going? I mean, based on your experience with it, do you find that that's effective?
Sometimes it is, and sometimes it's just unpreventable for them to drop out due to family situations.
But in the event it appears unpreventable, you do what you can to encourage them to take advantage of our credit recovery at Douglas.
yes, I did. We did credit recovery, we encouraged them to go to Lone Star College for GED.
Right.
We tried to do anything else besides just drop out completely.
Right. How has it been this year so far? Have you felt successful, I guess, would be the question?
Yes, ma'am, I've had at least 6 come back to Douglas in the afternoon.
Yeah, good.
Some of them have had to leave. But one of them has already graduated in the January, at the January board meeting.
Good.
So and I still have some coming.
Yeah. I was just curious how you felt about it. I mean, I know it's good.
Wasn't this position originally funded through grant?
Yes.
It's still, yeah, it was funded from the dropout recovery pilot program.
Right.
And that grant's gone, the state cut it.
Right.
And all the cuts came. So Title I picked it up. We're getting performance pay. We're submitting our last performance pay, which is like extra incentive they've given us. And that money will go in to possibly help fund it for next year.
Okay.
Any other questions? If not, all those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda is requisition number 8334, reflecting the purchase of 60 Samsung Galaxy Tab 2 devices. Mr. Cowart?
If you look in your board packet, please, on page 75 and 76, you can see a copy of the purchase requisition dated February 20th in the amount of $32,999.40. And you can see the backup invoice that's shown on page 76. Also on page 77 shows CH local policy, which refers to purchasing authority. Any single budgeted purchase of goods or services that cost $25,000 or more, regardless of whether the goods or services are competitively purchased, shall require board approval before the transaction may take place. Now, if it's over $50,000 on something, we have to go out for bid, and of course that doesn't fall within this range. So that's why this is before the board for a consideration. And not to jump ahead of ourselves, but we also have, following this, the board consideration on a Star Graphics contract regarding a copier lease. And this comes before the board for the same reason, due to the cost of it, more than $25,000 but less than $50,000.
Can I ask questions?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is for 60 computers?
Those
Yes, ma'am.
For, is it, and I'm assuming since it's, is it for 001 high school?
Yes,
Yes.
these are for student use, yes, ma'am.
These are for student use.
In the, will these be in the library or in, where will they go?
Where are you gonna put these, Mr.
They're going to be
McGee?
housed on mobile carts, it'll be a mobile lab.
To like go to classrooms?
Yes, ma'am.
And left at the school? Or they'll, I mean, okay, well, I have to ask.
So-
They'll be locked in the cart cave, yes.
So what are y'all doing now? I mean, what is it gonna change, or how's it gonna be?
It gets us closer to,
That's a teacher.
most people want to get as close to a one-to-one computer-to-student
Okay.
ratio, and it gets us closer. And the tablets will do basically what students do in the library, research, typing essays, things like that. So we can just roll it to the classroom and do them there on the tablets.
So it's, you're thinking of this being designed to send maybe 20 tablets to one classroom at a time,
Yes, ma'am.
right?
Or a class set.
A class, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Where is the money for this coming from? What?
This is materials allotment money. It used to be the textbook money, and they changed the name of it last year.
Instructional materials.
I
allotment.
remember that, yeah.
So
Yeah.
is it taking the place
So
of
it has to be
textbooks?
used
We-
for
there-
something.
It has to be used to buy instructional materials for students.
Okay, because
And
I'm
we-
like, golly, that's a teacher.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, so that's,
Yeah. Can't we just get a teacher and put her on the cart? Oh, okay.
Or-
That's
or
instructional.
an aide.
Let's, yeah, exactly. Ugh, okay.
Lock her in there too?
If she has to
Does she
stay,
get to
it's
come and
just,
go, or-
well, whatever, I don't know. I'll let McGee
So you
do
felt like
that.
this was the most effective way to spend this money on computers, really would be the,
Yes, ma'am. Nowadays, you can get online and find everything that's in a textbook.
Mhm.
So instead of purchasing textbooks that go out every few years, you're trying to move more towards the technology side and get the kids, a kid's gonna pay more attention. In my experience, a student, is gonna pay more attention if they're using some kind of technology that gets them
Right.
engaged.
do we have that ability to get textbooks online
We do, but
without being blocked?
the textbooks,
I mean, I'm just asking, really, though.
yes, that's a good question.
Yeah, I'm serious.
We looked into the textbooks online, and the price of the textbook on the computer is the same as a print textbook. They're not giving us a break on that yet.
Okay.
So we have pretty much double purchase. We have to purchase the technology plus the textbooks.
Okay.
What kind of safety plans come in with these, since we're gonna have $600 pieces of equipment in teenagers' hands?
Just the warranty that comes with them.
Which
And that's-
is?
That's true. It's just a 1 year, I guess, a regular warranty that
Can you buy an
the
extended?
technology guy put
Yeah.
it together.
Because it
So I'm
says
not
no
exactly
claim
sure what he
device.
included
Looks
in
like
it.
they didn't purchase it.
Mr. Gonzalez. But, I mean, from my experience, a tablet drops and breaks the screen's probably $50 to replace. I'm sure they're a little higher theft item than a laptop would be nowadays.
Will that be something like this?
It's the same size as a normal iPad.
Okay, so it's a little bigger than this?
Yes,
Okay.
easier to see, easier to read on,
The teachers will be, I'm assuming,
responsible.
Yes.
Yes.
so when the class set, just like a textbook is checked out to a teacher, if the book is not.
I guess that's kind of wondering what kind of plans in place to create a heightened sense of awareness that everybody better pay attention or else.
And the carts we're getting to put them on, they lock. They serve as chargers. You put them in and you plug their charger carts.
Oh, okay.
So you put them in there and you charge them, and that's where they're housed, and the cart's locked. And my plan at first is to have them in certain teachers' rooms to kind of develop plans on how to use them. Teachers that already use that technology on a daily basis, so that they can kind of get an idea and train the other teachers on how to use things like that as we get more. So those teachers will be responsible for what's going on with them.
Who's responsible if a kid gets mad and
The kid would be
throw, yeah, but
maliciously do it on the floor.
I mean, if a kid takes a book home, they're responsible for paying for the book, but a book is like $75. If a kid breaks one of these because they're acting ridiculous,
I mean, if
you know.
they're being negligent with it, then yes, they would be responsible. But if it accidentally gets knocked off, then we're,
Yeah, I get, so there is some type of provision being put in place that's gonna kind of define responsibility, so to speak?
we haven't yet, but there will be.
Will these,
And Southside has had tablets, they have a dozen or so already. Have y'all had any broken?
I appreciate good news.
well, okay.
4-year-olds hadn't done anything with them yet.
But these will be, it's not, so will it be a choice, or will it be like, hey, here's what you're working on today, or will students gonna have the option, or?
Part of the curriculum, maybe?
You see what,
I mean,
I mean, is this something that's going to be like, hey, this is available to you as a resource if you want to use it, or, hey, here's what we're working on today, get one and get busy?
No, just the teacher's lesson. It's going to be part of the lesson, part of the curriculum, part of the plan. Today we're doing this, get your tablet and let's get to work.
Okay.
Which I guess brings to mind another question, because I know that we have things that have been purchased and are not being used. And I would hate to see this $32,000, well, $33,000 worth of equipment bought, stuck somewhere, and the teachers continuing down the same path that they're on now and it not being implemented in instruction.
Yes, and that's part of the plan of getting some teachers involved in that kind of instruction. We're using the tablets so they can teach the other teachers how to use it. And we're going to send them on, they have trainings all over the place about using them. Most of them are iPads in the classroom, but we can adapt it to the Galaxy tablet.
well, I see it as maybe being an effective way to get to these kids too, because they like that.
Definitely.
So,
But you know, you always worry about the teacher that is not interested in the technology and is stuck in that, 20-year-ago rut. And it's sad, but to spend that kind of money and then just to think, well, it's.
And it won't be sitting in those classrooms. It'll be in the classrooms being used. And then hopefully all the classrooms will be utilizing
Right.
technology.
Okay.
Other campuses will go get them if they're just sitting.
and hopefully they won't renew her contract
They'll be
either.
used.
I said, and hopefully the contract wouldn't be renewed if they're not doing their job.
Right.
And the library, we have 100 and some odd computers in the library, and it's constantly used. So I don't see this being, I don't see it being.
Are these carts are they
They're not
incorporated
part-
in this?
Can't buy that with this money. We're buying it with our local funds
Oh, okay.
to go with it, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Has that been presented to the budget? Has that been on the budget?
It won't have to be.
They're not that
I know, but
expensive.
is it in the budget, this budget? The carts, has the requisition been cut for that yet?
It hasn't, I don't think it has been yet.
No.
because We're waiting to.
Yeah,
set the-
No, we wanted to see if the
Yeah.
board's
I
action
understand.
on this.
Okay, I
before we
didn't think
bought
I
the
saw
carts.
anything on
No,
it
there
here.
wasn't
Okay.
anything.
And the person we're getting them from, they've set them up as a vendor.
Okay,
Cards.
understand.
So we haven't done it yet.
Do you have any idea kind of what that,
They're about $800
Yeah.
a piece.
yeah, but it's important, I would
Yeah,
think,
and that's
yeah.
the cheapest ones we can
Yeah.
find, but keeping them secure is
Right.
important.
Any other questions? Have a motion, please.
So moved.
Second it.
Scott?
Yes, sir. Me and Kathleen. I'm taking that.
All those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda is proposed contract with Star Graphics. Mr. Coward?
Thank you. Looking in your board packet on page 78, there is a proposed contract with Star Graphics, which is they currently provide our copiers for the district on the campuses, the central office, transportation, maintenance, and so forth. The contract starts on page 78 and it runs through page 89. As far as the length of contracts, it's 60 months. And this is shown on page, let me see, on page 82. It's a 60-month contract with monthly payments of $9,154. Ms. Gross is here to answer any particular questions the board may have. Ryan from Star Graphics is also seated over here. He just raised his hand. if you may have a particular contract or questions regarding the contract and the services that would be provided. The contract has been reviewed by the attorneys with Schwartz and Eichelbaum, who handled this type of agreement, and we've made some changes and some modifications to meet our needs, and it's now being presented to the board. Once again, due to the cost of it, it has to be presented for board approval.
Okay, can I start? Does this mean new copiers?
Yes.
Oh, thank the Lord.
Was this the only company that we got?
We looked at some of the whiteboard where we got this one from, and this seems to be the best buy.
There's
The copies are going to be a little less than what they were last year. This year they're going to be a .0046 for black and white. Last year they were a .005. And the monthly amount last year was $11,849.
Oh, that's what I was gonna
And
say.
this year it's
Why?
$9,154. I guess they're not as expensive as they used to be, so I can say.
Was that key finance included in that 11,000 or
Yes.
key equipment? Okay, that's what.
Is this getting, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, what was your name?
Ryan.
Ryan, can you, like, give us the garden variety of what our $9,200 a month is gonna get us?
Sure, that includes the equipment, the new equipment placement. What we did was an extensive walkthrough of every single campus to make sure that we right-sized the different workrooms, different other offices, admin offices. So we put together a plan that basically is putting 2 production print units in each workroom. So that way, if there is a maintenance issue with one, or it's out of staples or whatnot, the teachers can actually utilize the secondary copy. And to answer your question about why is it cheaper, a lot of times when you do invest in technology, that monthly cost does go down.
So it's not less, we're not
No.
getting less?
You're actually getting more.
Okay.
You're actually getting more. You're getting 2 production machines where the space itself actually, we're able to put 2 production machines.
And right now, how many production
Well,
machines?
you have 1.
So we'll have 2, and these will be bigger capacity
That's
type
correct.
copiers than we currently have?
That's correct. And they're going to be networked as printing devices, so it'll decrease your cost on your Phoenix printers that are next to teachers' desks and things. So they're able to actually send print jobs to
Well,
those computers.
it says that all that cabling is not included, the cost of implementing all that. How much is that gonna cost in addition to?
A lot of the workrooms themselves actually already have network drops. We've already looked and seen that. So all it is us plugging it in and loading the drivers on the network, which we worked with James to already start that process.
So the answer to that is there's no additional cost?
There should not be. That's correct.
So there should not be, not there will not be.
Funny, I was
Where
gonna say
where
the
we
same
have
thing.
production machines, there's already network drops, so there's no additional cost.
No additional cost, okay.
Okay.
I've got, that's recorded.
I said, everybody has that.
Is this the same machine for the 60 months, or is it gonna be, if something happens to that machine, are you gonna replace it?
We actually have a warranty with the manufacturer, which is Sharp Electronics, and that is a 3-year performance guarantee. So if anything were to happen within the first 3 years of the contract, that is replaced with like or better. So if the machine is, say, just in this case, if it was no longer available, they would replace it with a like machine or better.
And is there any kind of guarantee for downtime if something were to happen that we needed to have the machine replaced, or do you guarantee us only so many hours of?
Sure. Our guaranteed response time, having someone on site is 4 hours,
Okay.
which is the industry standard.
Mhm.
But what we've done, working with Ms. Gross, is putting some emergency units that are going to be housed here within Cleveland ISD
Uh-huh.
with the help of James, so we could actually put those and install those if there was an emergency, that we needed to replace a loaner machine.
Does paper come with this?
No, it doesn't.
Can it?
The Staples do.
Well, thank you.
Can you
The
throw some
Staples do,
in?
really, that's a good point,
That's correct.
because they're expensive.
And that was bid through the Texas.
The warranty covers 3 years, what about the last 2 years?
The last 2 years are not covered by the manufacturer, but Ms. Gross can speak for Star Graphics with putting loaner equipment out there. If any of the machines have to be brought in-house for any kind of routine maintenance. But with having the 2 production units in each high-volume location, I don't really foresee us having to do any kind of off-site maintenance.
Did we get other
Copy,
copy?
but what we got from the whiteboard, we just looked at the different companies.
Yes, ma'am. So you're,
It's gonna be 13 new machines, And we're gonna use some of the old machines that are still, like, we have one here in central office that we don't use a whole lot. So we will have that one still, all we have to do is pay the service on it, so we're not buying a new machine. And that's probably why the fee is a little bit lower
Okay.
than what it was.
So how many more copiers will we have than what we have
We're
now?
gonna have 13 new machines, and we're using 8 of the old machines, and they're letting us have 2 loaners that, just for backup machines, whenever the machine breaks and can't get fixed right.
So each workroom at every campus will have more than they have now?
Yes, or either a faster machine.
Yes, okay.
So, maybe you could assign a technician to be based on in our district.
You actually do have a dedicated technician.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Oh, who won that?
I won.
Okay, I second.
I always win. Always
Motion
win.
from Sky,
Okay.
second from Robert. All those in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you, sir.
Next item on the agenda is the proposed Cleveland ISD Grants Management Manual. Howard?
Thank you. If you look in your board packet, please, on page 90, there is a grants management manual, which was, this was put together by Ms. Karen Miller and Ms. Karen Billingsley. This is required as part of our participation in the federal grants program, the title programs, and this manual was put together in cooperation through an audit that has been recently done by TEA on our grants management. And as in all of our manuals that we have in the district, they come before the board for possible consideration and approval. And this runs from page 90 through page 138.
Motion concerning the manual.
So moved.
Motion from Christie. Second, please. Second, Robert. Any questions?
Has there been any changes? Or is this something that you
This
just,
is
we
Brand
just
new,
now?
brand new.
This is
Brand new,
First,
okay.
first version. Yeah.
There will be a business office manual, or it's called an APM, an administrative procedure manual. This is a supplement to it.
Can we just get one more manual, please?
You get one more. And it will be, this is actually going to be an insert to that. But it's going to be 180 pages right now.
And this is a new manual required by law, right?
Yes, sir. The 180 pages we couldn't, we've got like 65% of it done. At 180 pages, we're not quite done yet. So this one we
But
completed.
basically, this is how to write and submit for grants? Is that?
This piece is, yes, sir. This
Okay.
is everything that everything you need to know to write and submit for a grant, how we distribute the money, we get the money, how the campus is allocated the funds, how we purchase it, how we do inventory, you name it, and even things generated by revolving credit. So it's all there.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, all those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda is the revised Cleveland High School course directory for the 2013-2014 school year. Mr. Coward.
Thank you. If you look in your board packet, please, on page 139, there's an updated Cleveland High School course directory that we're asking the board to consider. This first came to the board in the January meeting. There has been several additions or proposed additions to this manual. If you look specifically, please, on page 160, there's a environmental systems course, which is a 11th and 12th grade class. This is these are highlighted in yellow, the additions. There are no deletions from the manual or from this course guide from the January meeting. There's been courses added. On page 160 was a course that was added. Let's see. Then on page 171, under JROTC, there is a courses, Air Force Junior ROTC 1, 2, and 3 courses for 1 credit that's shown here. And also another one at the bottom of the page, an Air Force 4 credit. And then on page 172 is an Air Force Staff Management Honors course. And if I'm not mistaken, there's one more on page 194. There's a Money Matters course, which is part of the Career Tech Education Program. And it's a prerequisite of Principles of Business, Marketing, and Finance, which is a half-credit course. This is shown on page 194. And that is all of the changes as far as additions to the course guide that Mr. McGee would like you to consider.
I'm assuming these highlights are changes.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Colonel, the ROTCs, most of the courses, he just wanted to change some of the wording in it. The last one, I forget the name. The
Money Matters?
Leadership training one. That's actually an innovative course we'll have to apply for, so we can't offer that until next, not this coming, but next school year. The Money Matters is, we kind of used to call it personal finance. Kind of looking at how to manage your own checkbook and finances and things like that. We were looking at making some course offer changes with the middle school, and we needed some half-credit courses, and that's one we thought would be very valuable for our students.
Well, like for the environmental systems, we have teachers that are going to teach.
It's a composite science, yes, ma'am.
So.
And the reason we added that one, we were looking at with our end of course exams, if they fail the exam, we have to offer remediation. Instead of putting them in a remediation course, we could put them in a course they could get credit for and get that remediation at the same time. So we're thinking if they fail biology, we'll put them in the environmental science, basically what it is. And they'll get those biology tests revisited to prepare them to pass that biology test next time we have to take it.
Well, very good. Thank you.
So the credits may not have, well, you added that Money Matters. That was an addition.
Yes, ma'am. And so is the environmental science.
But the ROTC was just changes.
Well, the one course, the leadership course, was an additional.
Okay.
Do you have a motion, please?
Moved.
Motion from Robert.
Second it.
Yeah, Kelly? All those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda is proposed CKE local policy. Mr. Cowart.
Thank you. If you look in your board packet on page 196 and 197, there's a proposed CKE local policy. This was before the board at the February meeting. The board did discuss it and then tabled any action on this agenda item and requested it be placed back on the agenda for this month, and this is here for board consideration and discussion at this time. And the one change that's in this policy is highlighted in yellow. It's on the top of page 197. It is number 11. This was added to the policy of our existing policy that we have. It says carry weapons. This is referring to peace officers, can carry weapons including electrical control devices as directed by the Chief of Police.
Scott, the bottom part of that motion needs to be changed from March to April for the second reading.
The final?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I see. Because this is just the first?
Right.
Okay.
Okay, do we have a motion concerning the electronic control devices.
Is this to pass that?
No, it's the first reading.
We have to do it again?
Yeah, we'll have to do it again.
But we did do it the last time.
No.
We tabled
Oh,
it, we tabled
Okay,
it
never mind.
last time.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Sorry, making a motion. No.
Yeah. Make a motion for this first reading. The time is that, is that it?
Yeah,
That
I got
worked.
it. I second that.
Okay, a motion from Kelly, a second from Scott. Any other questions or discussion?
And this is just pertaining to the presentation that was made a few months back with regards to the quote-unquote taser devices.
Just
And this is
a
just the
refresher.
policy, it's not like what, the explanation on how to use it and what situation to use it, that's in the training manual.
Correct. And, just more history to refresh our memories. Legal still has concerns here because a lot of districts in the state of Texas have not adopted the use of these devices yet. So we're kind of cutting edge, so just so you know where we are.
I'm just going to be honest. I'm trying to figure out why we're having to do this so many times.
Well, any change to a local policy has to have a first and a second reading.
Okay.
It has to go through both of those steps
Okay.
to become new policy.
Okay.
It's just the process and procedure that we have to go through. Anything, whether it was,
State mandated, yeah, so.
Had I known that the last meeting, we could have done that the last meeting, right?
well, there were
Or this
other-
wasn't
there
done
were-
yet? This wasn't a different?
There were other reasons that we tabled it from the last meeting.
Okay.
I think everybody felt comfortable
Okay.
passing.
Any other questions or discussion? Not all those in favor? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is TASB policy update 96, DEC local. Mr. Coward.
Thank you. If you look in your board packet, please, it starts on page 199. This is a packet that's provided to us by the Texas Association of School Boards. It is a brief summary of the policy update that they're asking the board to consider. This is update 96. The policies that are included in this update are the board member powers and duties, the framework for school board development, legal services for districts, bankruptcy discrimination, use of leave while on military duty by employees, selection of instructional materials, and student attendance. We have local policy issues that focus on the accrual of state personal leave and salary deductions for unearned leave and selection of instructional materials and student attendance accounting. Each one of these topics are broken down here starting on page 199 and goes through the next several pages as a brief summation on what's involved in this local update, legal and local update.
This is first reading, so there's no action necessary.
That's true. There's no action.
So this is just for review and consideration at this point. Any questions about policies? Any other discussion? All right. If not, then we will take a brief recess and then convene into executive session. Recess at 8:01 p.m.
Okay, right.